Welcome to episode 4. We're still in lockdown, I think. Are we? You're watching Spriggan TV. So here we are again.
So hello from us.
Hello, and welcome back to Spriggan TV.
Hi, Sprigganista. It's 2 in the morning, and I'm coming to you live from my car as I wake up for another dawn survey.
Hi, my friends. How you doing?
Oh, hi. Another Spriggan TV. I hope you're ready for this.
So welcome everybody to another ram-packed episode of Spriggan TV. We've got lots for you this time round.
We've got John Rivers telling us a story.
Duval is popping in to having a little chat with us.
Ask Em. She's going to be answering some questions sent in to her from you, the lovely audience.
I'm actually interviewing Maxine.
Eek.
Lots of other features. We've got the usual Neil solo.
Yeah.
And first off, we've got Faye with a rather interesting cover.
Yeah.
Okay, Sprigganista. I'm actually going to play you for this episode a cover of my own choice. Because I'll be frank with you, I've had a completely mental couple of weeks and I've had very little time for learning things. So I'm going to play a cover I already know and love. This is my favourite song in the world. This is the best song in the world. Let me just make that clear. The best. Lived a certain man in Russia long ago. He was big and strong, in his eyes a flaming glow. Most people looked at him with terror and with fear, but for Moscow chicks he was such a lovely dear. He could preach the Bible like a preacher, full of ecstasy and fire. But he also was the kind of teacher women would desire. Shame plans to do something about this outrageous man became louder and louder. This man's just got to go, declared his enemies, but the lady said, don't you try and do it, please. No doubt this Rasputin has lots of hidden charms. Though he was a brute, they just fell into his arms. Then one night, some men of high standing set to trap their moth to flame. Come to visit us, they kept demanding, and he really came. Some poison into his wine. Rasputin, Russia's greatest love machine. He drank it all and said, I feel fine. Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen. They didn't quit, they wanted his hand. Rasputin, Russia's greatest love machine. And so they shot him till he was dead. Russians.
You're watching Spriggan TV.
Hello, you're watching Spriggan TV. I'm Quercus. And I thought today that I would tell you a story. It's all in here. It's a nearly true story, well, almost true. It happened a long time ago in the not so distant future. Back when the good Queen Victoria had not long been married to her charming Prince Albert. The British Empire was vast and increasingly so. All-encompassing right across the world, and it was becoming increasingly difficult to manage. It contained all sorts of things in far-flung regions, little tiny corners of the world, but one of the biggest areas was India. Britain had many and various interests across that vast expanse of India, and right there in the middle, right in the middle of India, way off from the other trade routes and military establishments, and really away from the influence of the British Empire, things weren't going well at all. There was an uprising. There were people revolting. The revolting Indians, Queen Victoria said. There were dissidents and all sorts of things. And the mighty Queen was troubled. And because she was troubled, lots of her ministers within Parliament were troubled. So they called Parliament back from recess, which was unheard of. They were all off having their summer jollies, and they called them back. They decided, after much argument and debate, that the best way to quell this uprising in India was to make a grand gesture. They didn't want to have to send troops and ships and spend vast amounts of money. So it was decided that what they would do was that they would send back as a token the Kohinoor diamond, which had been presented to Queen Victoria at the time of her coronation. And it had been presented to her by the Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So it had been presented by a very renowned and respectable Indian. But throughout India, it was felt that this huge diamond, it was the biggest diamond that had ever been found in the world at the time, should never have left the country. It should have stayed in India. And so Queen Victoria and her ministers decided that as a token, a grand gesture, they would send it back. It took a lot of debate about how to do this, how to make this work. And after much debate, it was decided to commission one of the all newfangled airships that were being built, and it would be far quicker to send it by one of these airships than to try and travel it across the sea. So the good ship Polyphemus was chartered to do this little task. It had been built and was owned and captained by the Celia family, who had mysteriously come into a small fortune some years before. The airship was mastered by Captain Basildon Celia, who, if truth be known, had never captained anything in his life. He'd been a bobby in John Peel's Peelers until he'd been thrown out. He'd been caught drunk in a back alley, fast asleep, while the shop round the front was being burgled. His wife, Lady Maxine Celia, was really the brains behind the whole affair. She had commissioned the building of the ship, and wherever Basildon went, she made sure she was there too, just to keep him out of trouble, keep him sober. The other crew members of note and pertinent to this little story is a wiry little chap named Colin, along with his reluctant apprentice Neil. Colin was the master mariner and chief engineer, and anywhere in the world where there were big ships or airships or anything of any importance, Colin was often called upon to go and supervise the engine works. Whenever a vessel going by sea or air was looked after by Colin, you could hear the steady thump, 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 thump of the engine beats as the vessel kept steadily moving and kept a steady time. Now, although the Polyphemus had been commissioned to deliver the diamond to India, there was, of course, and that was of course its priority, the prestigious nature of the air voyage meant that there was going to be passengers as well. And the passenger list read like the pages of Burke's Peerage. There was Viscount Minty Biscuit and the Earl of Grey, and loads of other lords and ladies of varying titles and degrees of importance. The two that we need to concern ourselves about with this story is the Grand Duchess Lady Berkeley Langridge, a very formidable looking lady. She, together with her rather flighty and wayward companion Fay Brotherhood, had taken the most expensive cabins on the Polyphemus, and it had taken an inordinate amount of time to load all their luggage into the airships. There were just so many boxes, bags, hat boxes, vanity trunks, mirrors, dressing things, makeup by the bucket load, and it was even stacked in the corridors outside of their rooms. Now the thing is, had you bothered to search through Burke's Peerage, you would never have found mention of these two indomitable ladies. They were actually a pair of scallywags and thieves. Their only purpose aboard the Polyphemus was to try and steal the Koh-i-Noor diamond. Now the diamond was in a safe, which in turn was locked in the strong room, which was an anteroom adjacent to the Celia's captain's cabin. The two ladies needed access to this cabin. They also needed to get hold of the keys to the strong room and the safe. But the keys were kept in the bustier of Maxine Celia's ample bosom. Having scouted out the ship for a few days, this pair of rather beautiful villains decided to try and elicit some help. Poor Colin didn't stand a chance. They set their sights on him and there was no hope. He was smitten and that was the end of it. Apparently, there are there's a small collection of daguerreotype photographs locked away that really can't be shown in public, and if they were published would cause an outcry. We won't talk about those. Colin was given the task of getting into the main cabin and unlocking the front door to let the ladies in. So Colin climbed into the air ducting, air ventilation system of the ship. He knew it like the back of his hand. He could get anywhere on the ship without ever walking anywhere. He would just pop up and people would be surprised how he got there. It was an easy task for the poor deluded chap. So not long after lifting off over Windsor Great Park, the good ship Polyphemus could be seen floating over Swindon. Colin was by this time inching his way through one of the service ducts. And as he floated over Swindon, he wondered to himself what that strange drumming was. He also wondered why one of the drummers was persistently out of time with the rest. He thought to himself, I merely must give those bang to rights guys some lessons someday. Colin dropped into the captain's cabin and opened the door, and outside were the two ladies, who immediately entered. Unfortunately, they had not managed to secure the keys from Maxine Julia's ample bosom, and so they decided the best way to get into the safe was to blow it up. Now, blowing up safes on an airship is just stupid, but they didn't think of that. There was an almighty explosion, and bits of safe flew in all directions, and one large chunk of the safe door punctured the airship. Was just a stupid idea from the outset. Down on the bridge, all was going to plan, and Captain Baz was giving a running commentary as they passed over the coast and out to sea, when all of a sudden there was the enormous bang, and the airship started to lose height rather rapidly. This had been, the safe had gone straight through it. It wrecked it. As the passengers started to panic, a strange and rather calming song started to drift through the airship. It was something about cups of tea. And the Polyphemus started to level out and slowly, very slowly, began to climb back up to cruising altitude. What had happened, it would seem, unbeknown to everybody and anybody, was this. As the ship was being built initially, a strange and itinerant band of pixies had made their home in various parts of the ship that weren't inhabited by the general public. They had built mushroom farms and planted small tea plantations and had fairies and flowers and things at the bottoms of their gardens. And it was all established like a flying Rastafarian outpost. It was most peculiar. Now, pixies, being very closely related to fairies and other mystical folk, possessed magical powers. So as soon as they had seen the large hole appear, they used some kind of magical stick. I'm not sure, it was a huge big magical stick thing to bring the sides of the ship back together. And with dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of kettles of steam, producing steam, which we all know rises, they re-lifted the Polyphemus. Of course, the two nefarious ladies were caught almost immediately. Everybody knew where the bang had come from. They were just apprehended. And as Baz had one time been one of John Peel's bobbies, he soon had them all locked away. Sadly, Maxine wasn't supervising, and so he locked them in the strong room where the Kohinoor diamond was, which was oddly never seen again. Thank you for listening.
Hello, this is Andy and you're watching Spriggan Mist TV.
tree to write me a song. In the springtime sun, what could go wrong? A girl came to me and asked me to play. I said I'd sing her song and be on my way. She said, I need to go, come party with me. We'll dance all summer continuously. Won't need no sleep or food to eat, as long as you serve my dancing feet. And she danced all summer. I fell under the spell of a magical way. She danced all summer. Never knew I'd be playing for the rest of my days. She danced all summer. I fell under the spell of a magical way. She danced all summer. Never knew I'd be playing for the rest of my days. Well, I've always been a dutiful bard, so I played my lute and I dropped my guard. We danced and danced day and night. I played under the moon to the morning light. I did not hunger, I did not thirst. Never grew weary, this was a first. I played my fingers to the bone of thoughts from my folks back at home. And she danced all summer. I fell under the spell of a magical way. She danced all summer. Never knew I'd be playing for the rest of my days. She danced all summer. I fell under the spell of a magical way. She danced all summer. Never knew I'd be playing for the rest of my days. Yeah! Then I realized the dancing stopped. The girl had gone, the lute had dropped. My hair was long, I was old and grey. I played and played to my dying day. And she danced all summer. I fell under the spell of a magical way. She danced all summer. Never knew I'd be playing for the rest of my days. She danced all summer. I fell under the spell of a magical way. She danced all summer. Never knew I'd be playing for the rest of my days. As I slowly passed away, I saw that girl was the queen of fate. I trespassed under her sacred tree, a lifelong sentence she gave to me. And she danced all summer. I fell under the spell of a magical way. She danced all summer. Never knew I'd be playing for the rest of my days. She danced all summer. I fell under the spell of a magical way. She danced all summer. Never knew I'd be playing for the rest of my days. She danced all summer. I fell under the spell of a magical way. She danced all summer. Never knew I'd be playing for the rest of my days. She danced all summer. I fell under the spell of a magical way. She danced all summer. Never knew I'd be playing for the rest of my days.
You're watching Spriggan TV.
Hi my friends, how you doing? Well, my solo this week is one of the first requests that I had. In fact, it's more than a solo, it's more of a guitar instrumental. It's Samba Patti by Santana. Now, when this request came in, Baz suggested that I wore something South American, and I thought, what would be more representative of this subcontinent than the indigenous Huarani tribe? Now, I'm having a bit of trouble with the gentleman parts bit of this, and Anna seems reluctant to help, but the video will soon be done, so wish me luck. Did you really think I was going to dress up as a South American Indian? I guess there's going to be more relief than disappointment out there. Anyway, here is Samba Patti.
You're watching Spriggan Miss TV.
Regular viewers to Spriggan Miss TV will know that every episode we have an interview, and it's usually somebody connected with the band or of interest to the Spriggan Miss following. Recently, I asked the question at a moot, who would you like us to interview next? And several people came back with they'd like Maxine to be interviewed. So here we are. We're going to ask Maxine a few questions that you have sent in, and probably I'll throw a few in of my own as well. So, one of the questions that came up a lot was about how many instruments you play and how many you have. But Jane has asked, exactly how many instruments do you own?
I own, last count, 50 instruments. And
are they all, what kind of instruments are they ranging from?
They range from some very interesting Indian instruments, which is like an Indian banjo, through to some vintage instruments, which include some piano accordions and a couple of piano accordions and a very old banjo mandolin. And then the rest of the instruments tend to be mainly woodwind. So I've got every type of recorder other than a double bass recorder. And I've also got 3 different types of saxophone. So that's the soprano, the alto and the tenor. And then I also have a number of different guitars, which are obviously acoustic guitars, electric guitars, 12-string guitars, 12-string acoustic guitars, banjo guitar. And I've also got some flutes and some whistles, a piccolos, and some other little African tribal instruments as well. And singing bowls. That's probably it. I forgot to. The harp and the auto harp are my latest additions.
So Fiona Lewis has asked, how many instruments do you actually play?
So obviously you've all seen me normally on stage playing guitar, acoustic guitar, flutes, whistles and saxophones. And clarinet is probably my mastered instrument, if I'd like to say that. I play the clarinet as well, but also every type of recorder, and also I do play a little bit of keyboard, and I do have some electronic instruments which I don't tend to play on stage, which includes an electronic saxophone, which can be any instrument I want it to be. So essentially I've got a choice of about 120. Does that count?
So Rose has asked, what was your first instrument, not including the recorder?
So after the recorder, I began on the guitar, where I learnt really basic chords when I was about 7 or 8. I did that in primary school and then didn't touch the guitar again. And then at secondary school, I started the clarinet.
She also asked, how difficult was it to learn the saxophone? And where did that come? How did that come around? You started learning that?
So I just have a love of playing instruments. So when I was learning the clarinet, I used to go. We had an annex at the school where I was being taught, and in a cupboard in that annex was this really dusty old saxophone that nobody played. So I asked my music teacher if I could just take it home and play around with it. It was really probably not very good, to be honest, and I used to get a few squawks and sounds out of it, but I loved it and I tried to kind of get it going, and then I really didn't touch a saxophone for a long time until I met Baz, and Baz bought me a saxophone as a Christmas present one year, and boom, back into it. But it's very, very similar to playing, for me, very similar in the way you play a clarinet, but completely different in how you finger the instrument, is the right word, is how you say it, but I'm just going to say that with tongue in cheek.
Right, okay. Moving on. So Rose has asked a few questions actually. How often do you practice each instrument?
I'm very naughty.
Not enough.
I probably don't play enough. Well, it's difficult to play the saxophone in the house because, as you can imagine, it's very, very loud. Guitar-wise, I can probably pick the guitar up almost every day at one shape or form. I've got 2 guitars in my office at work as well, which I can pick up as well. And there's a guitar in my office space down in my cabin, where I do a little bit of, tinkering really. And then, of course, my other guitars are down in the house. So I do have the option to play the guitar an awful lot. I tend to pick up mostly the flutes and whistles because they're easier to play. You don't really need to put them together very much, and you can just play a little tune on them and put them back down. But I probably should practice far more than I do.
I think it would be fair to say you practice more songs than instruments. So if we're recording something or we've got something in the set, you use the instrument that you're going to be using for that set, as opposed to, same with me with bouzouki.
Yeah.
So if I haven't got any bouzouki, I probably don't pick up as much as I should do.
And it's really interesting. Sometimes if we're playing a song and I play sax in it, I might just play the flute or a whistle in it, just so that I've got the part in my head. So I'm learning the part, although I can't play the sax really loud. I'll just at least get the part in my head through that.
That links on to another one of Rose's questions, actually. Does it annoy the neighbours?
I don't think they've ever said anything about any of the guitars or saxophones. They only moan about drums.
Yeah.
And that's not me.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Which, Rose's last question, what instrument do you want to play but haven't mastered yet?
Oh, the guitar. No, I'm kidding. I think there is always room for improvement in every instrument you play. You can never say you've mastered it, because there's always something that will come along and will stretch you again. But I think if I had one instrument that I wish would make sense in my head, it would be my squeeze box. I've got this beautiful little squeeze box, and I find it very difficult because where the notes are, and because you've got an in and an out sound, I find it really difficult because my brain works in blowing down an instrument and getting a sound per covering of the note hole, and that just doesn't work. So that's the one thing that I really want to master.
So we had a lot of questions about were you already playing instruments before you met me? I think you've answered that already. So Carla Cook asked a really good question, and I know you get asked this a lot. How have you managed a career, your music, and 2 kids? Oh, and Baz.
I think music for me is actually it's an outlet. So whatever happens at work and whatever happens with the children, and however busy family life is, it's the way I unwind. So to write a piece of music is the way I express my emotion, and to write lyrics, obviously, is nice to put the words down sometimes. I'm always singing or humming a tune, and I've always done that since I was little. So I guess really for me, it's really about kind of including the family in it. And I'm so pleased that the children have grown up with us, loving music and really being part of everything we do, because I think as a family we're really close because of that. And managing Baz, well, I'm not sure how I manage Baz.
In fact, you're not the only. Carla wasn't the only person to ask that. Mikhail asked, "How do you part with me?" And so did Kat, Jadu's Jingles. I don't expect you to answer that. Okay.
He is lovely, really.
Angela Loxley, or the Loxleys, it was both of them, as we affectionately call them, asked a couple of questions, but one of the questions was, can you teach us the recorder piece from Fairy Queen, please? And this is the reason why.
I really wish we could learn to play the recorder, Alex.
Yeah.
How good would that be?
Yeah, it'll be really good to be able to play along to this.
Oh god, I used to play recorder when I was a kid, but I think I got about as good as like London's Burning. I could play the Red Dwarf theme tune on the recorder. What about you?
Yeah, I did a bit of recorder in school, and then I moved on to other instruments, piano, violin, flute. So yeah, I don't
all
think,
started with the recorder.
yeah, I don't think on recorder. I don't think I got much beyond the like Three Blind Mice and London's Burning and that kind of stage.
But you can play flute though.
Yeah, yeah.
So in principle, you can play recorder.
Oh, I suppose.
Never ascending. So, what do you reckon we try and learn the recorder so we can like play along?
Yes.
When we're listening to it.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's do it. All right. Cool. Still got it.
Nailed it!
Yeah!
So Max, what do you think about that?
Well, if you'd like me to do a short masterclass on how to play it, we can definitely do that.
How did they do?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. There's room for improvement in everything, like I said.
Cool. It was actually wonderful to see. I mean, when you realise people actually playing your songs out there, it's just a lovely feeling. But one of the other questions that Alex and Angela asked, and this is a $1 million question, I think, really, because where do you get the inspiration to write your songs, and what is the catalyst for doing so?
Yeah, there's lots of different things that drive inspiration. I think my pagan pathway has definitely given me lots of inspiration, and just little things sometimes that maybe you will see or do in a mindfulness moment, just realising how the sun can make you feel happy. That sort of helped me write the tune that I was singing on the last live link that we did, which is about, you know, basically sunny days and how they make you smile, because they do lift your mood. And we've often talked about things like that, you know, sort of how a grey day makes you feel, how a sunny day makes you feel. But really, my inspiration comes from really basic things like that, like seeing a bird flying, or literally just seeing a tree come into bloom and blossom and seeing how beautiful it is. And those things, you don't realise how lucky we are to see them sometimes, and they just make you want to write about them.
But it's not just pagan things though, is it? And it's not just things you see. I mean, the portal is another example.
Yeah, the portal was very different. So that I actually wrote the portal on the day David Bowie's death was announced, and I was sitting actually here in the back room, which at that time was a music room. We've changed it around a little bit. It was a studio, which now we have a studio. And the song just came to me, and the lyrics, and it was almost like I felt I was being joined by David Bowie for that particular song. It was actually an amazing moment. But yes, the portal was definitely to do with David Bowie's death. And there's obviously other songs like the song I wrote for my mum, which is on my own album. And then there's songs around goddesses, and there's songs around mermaids. Sorry, Pixie. But yeah, it's just little things that kind of make you think.
Now, songs are very much like children. Do you have a favourite one that you've written?
I do have a couple of favourite songs, and they're for very different reasons. The Portal is one of my favourite songs, simply because when we play it as a band and it's really gelling and it's loud and you hear it makes the hairs on my arms actually stand up, and I look over.
Get lost, don't we?
Everyone's lost in it. You can see the audience enjoying it, and
the jingles come out with the swords.
Yeah, and the whole thing just comes together as a real magic moment. And then the other song I wrote, Hell, for a completely different reason, because it reaches a very dark domain for me, and I didn't feel like I could actually reach those sort of dark, sort of really the chords that strike with that, and mix up that with a sort of folk tune as well, but still get the sound that I wanted. And then other songs that really hit the heart, you know, things like the song around my mum, obviously very personal to me, but I know that it's helped other people who have lost family members, so I'm really pleased that some of the songs go to help other people.
That's on the Be Curious, your own solo album, isn't it?
That's right.
Okay, so like I said, songs are like children. It's very hard to choose. Brianna has actually asked who your favourite child is.
Brianna, she's so naughty. I don't have any favourite children. Both my children are amazing and beautiful.
I think my favourite daughter's Brianna. My favourite son's Aaron.
I think you're about right.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You know more about Maxine now.
Ah, bonjour mes amis. Alexa, shut up. Welcome to my humble abode. I was in the process of writing to Monsieur Macron to ask for a posthumous pardon. I might get one. After all these years, it's only fair. I hope you are all surviving lockdown, and I have had many letters from my adoring fans asking what the 17th century highwayman does during a pandemic. Well, like you, gloves and a face covering are vital, especially in my profession. A good book I like to read. music, Be the Fruit of Love. I like listening to Claude Debussy, Spriggan Mist, of course, and David Lebard is also worth a listen. And obviously a fine brandy. Cheers. Indeed. And also I obviously I like to keep my flageolet in peak condition, well oiled, and plenty of alcohol gel. Most important. It's been a while since we were all together. I remember Ghostly Tales last year was particularly enjoyable, and many other gigs too. Hopefully Spriggan Mist will be performing again live soon. I think that's something we all look forward to. As he's getting together and being able to hug once again. We all love a good hug. And I'm sure before too long we will be able to do this. And hopefully none of that 2 meter rubbish. You can't have a good hug at 2 meters. But anyway, having said that, it won't be long. So I send my love to you all. And all that remains for me to say is my name is Claude Duval, and you are watching Spriggan Mist TV.
We've had a few features over the last couple of Spriggan Mist TVs with Emma Barclay-Langridge, and she has proved to be very popular. So why not ask Em all the amazing questions you can think of? We're sure she's got the answers.
Hello, everybody out there. We have come to the point in this lovely show put together. Is that the right title word to use? Show?
Yes.
Episode. In this episode from Spriggan Mist, it's Ask Emma. Ooh. Right, so I'm going to go to the questions. I've done a lot of research on imadeitup.com. So here we go. First question. I'm not going to actually do all the questions, so if you can keep the questions coming in as well, and only a selected few will be answered. So here we go. The first question. Controversial, may just say. Who actually shot JFK? Well, there's many answers to that. But the one that I've come to as a conclusion, well, I have two options. The first one is very controversial. It was E.T. It was an alien. But that's a bit way out. So I looked into it a bit more. And this one is true, very true. It was actually Trump. Yes, it was Donald Trump, you all may ask. On the 22nd of November 1963, when JFK was shot and sadly fatally shot, he was shot by Donald Trump, who was age 17 at the time, and it was his start of taking over the American country, government, how you want to put it. Yeah, he really started at the age of 5 planning this, so it's taken him a while. As you can see, he went to a military academy. Here he is, you can see, aged around the age of 17. So he had the training to shoot somebody. He'd used guns and stuff, or obviously been taught how to use them, like most Americans have. And yeah, as you can see, when I confronted him with this is the face I got. I think he's trying to tell me, I won't, because I won't say it because it'd be a rude word, and I don't want Aaron to have to keep putting beep beeps in. So yeah, he didn't actually admit it, but I know I hit a raw nerve. So that's that one. Okay, we're on to the next one. Okay, right, here we go. Dear Emma, I have a really bad addiction, which I hope you can help me with. It's for sausage. I just can't get enough of sausage. Well, Val, I can't help you with that one. I don't think anybody would ever be brave enough to take away your sausages or sausage. So there's no real answer to that one. So yes, that's that one. And the last one for today's Ask Emma. It's quite a serious question. Yes, very serious. Not that the others weren't, because they are serious in their own rights, because obviously Val's got a problem with sausages, and that's very serious. And the JFK, we all know that's very controversial, but I've told you who did it, that's it. So, yeah, so the last one is, Dan, if you were arrested, what would your family and friends assume you have done? I had to think hard about this one, very hard. Because, you know, breaking the law is a serious thing. And I didn't know whether to think about it as a serious matter or a fun matter. So I've come up with a couple of answers. So the first one would be, this is probably a serious one, this one, because you all know what I'm like about animals. I love animals, don't like people. I like animals. So obviously most people will probably think, not most, a few people would think that I've assaulted a person that's hurt an animal. Yeah? Yeah, agreed, yeah. But I think this one's more likely, very more likely, because it's real and I want an axe, but Katrina won't let me buy an axe. I do want to own an axe because this will explain it. I would think that, especially my wife, would think that I've probably been arrested for possession of an offensive weapon, i.e. an axe. You may be asking, why would I want an offensive weapon? I want an axe. So I thought if I keep saying that enough times, it might brainwash Katrina into thinking that she's going to let me have an axe. But anyway, the reason why I would want an axe is obviously because if in case of a zombie invasion, of course. I mean, who would you want to protect you? Me, with an axe. But unfortunately, I probably would get arrested if I was carrying it around with me. And that's probably more likely to be the answer. So that's it for today. Sorry it's not very exciting. I've been to work this morning. I was up at 5 a.m. and yeah, started work at 6 a.m. So yes, I've been busy today and I'm now on my Southern Comfort and Pepsi Max with ice. And I'd like to just say to you all, cheers. Speak to you soon.
Boggy here. I can't wait for COVID-19 to be over. Why? Because I can't wait to farging Bazchilia around the garden. Oh, what fun. Not now, Cato. You're watching Spriggan Miss TV. Bye-bye.
can be measured by the seasons of the year. Time is a healer, the solstice is here. It's a time of celebration, a time to revere. Across the many ancient sites where many men have been, the magical stones and the magical powers help the powers in. It's a magical day of the year, time of the longest day. Time to celebrate the solstice sun with our old and wise ancient ones. The wise across the many worlds begin their yearly rituals. The sun god's at the peak of his life, the sun is our protector. The great horse chestnut tree provides tribal guide. He'll protect them all the year round with no bribe. It's a magical day of the year, time of the longest day. Time to celebrate the solstice sun with our old and wise ancient ones. Some will create some very special magical rites. Some will be focused on nurturing new life. Some will be wearing the special God's eye. Rue, Rowan and Basil will protect with Gree. It's a magical day of the year, time of the longest day. Time to celebrate the solstice sun with our old and wise ancient ones. Fires burn upon the hill to consume and purify. Caradwin tends her cauldron full, gather all around. Here we go around the bush, a special mulberry. Leave our food for the fairy folk, don't cry about spilled meat. It's a magical day of the year, time of the longest day. Time to celebrate the solstice sun with our old and wise ancient wine. Yes, magical day of the year, a time of the longest day. A time to celebrate the solstice sun with our old and wise ancient wine.
watching Spriggan Mist TV.
So that was a fantastic episode, and we're really grateful for all your contributions.
And it's true, Spriggan Mist TV wouldn't be the same without what you give to the episodes. So at the end, on the title sequence, there's going to be a little montage of the Bazapede, so please don't switch off now. But all's left to do is say
goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for watching. See you next time. Stay safe.
See you later, Sprigganista.
Well, at 4:47, with my back survey all done, it's time for me to drive home and go to bed. Bye-bye, Sprigganista.
Spriggan Mist together and keep us
Spriggan Mist together?
No.
Are we splitting up?
Oh, for fuck's sake, look how I've parked. How am I supposed to get home now? How did I get out?
So that was a fantastic episode, and we're really grateful for all of your bungs.
Oh yeah, the bungs.
All of your
Night, morning, whatever it is.
You're watching Spriggan Mist TV.
No.
Time to.
No, but I say my bit first. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so are you going to say it? Thank you for watching. See you next time. Stay safe. What do you mean, no? You're an artiste? No, you're not. Okay, we'll try and salvage this. Impression of a soul singer. No? Who rolls?
What the f***?
You're watching Spriggan Mist TV.
Ow! Sorry, it was a bit more tied together. Just side.
Oh, it's the spot.
I made you a poem. Poop of mouse, it roll around. Poop of bat, it crumble down. If all the poop you crumble up, all year you will have good bat luck.